Hi, I'm Matt with etrailer, and today we're going to be talking about the Yakima OverHaul ladder rack system in the back of our 2022 Ram 1500. Now this is going to be a great option for you if you're on the work site and you need to carry any longer items, whether that be lumber or ladders, or if maybe you want to use this for more recreational uses, you can use it for kayaks or any overlanding too. What's really nice about this system in particular is it has the ability to adjust the raise or lower any. So if you need it for any other situations, it's going to be able to accommodate for those. What separates these towers from the rest of the other options is they have the ability to raise and lower. So if you needed to sit above your cab, you have that ability. Or if you wanted to sit below, that's also an option too. Now, we're also going to have these two holes on the side of it. And what these two holes are for, if you want to put on an additional item that's sold separately on our website, that's going to be a sidebar if you want to put any other accessories too. And on the inside, we'll also have this loop. And what this loop is an additional anchor point if you need to tie anything off from the inside. As for what you can put up here, you're going to have a weight capacity of up to 500 pounds. Now, if you're going off-roading, that's going to drop to 300 pounds. Just keep that in mind. As for what you can put on here as well, you're going to be able to put your T-track accessories or your clamp-on ones. When you're putting on your clamp-on accessories, though, just make sure that those clamp-ons are able to accommodate the HD bars. And your towers are going to sit right on top of your bases, which are relatively simple, and just clamp onto the rails of your bed. And you're going to have a locking side per crossbar set. So you're going to have a locking base for your front crossbar, and then you have a locking base for your rear crossbar. Now we can get some measurements on how it sits back here. So going from the top of the bed rails to the top of the crossbar, that's going to sit a little bit over 23 inches. So that's going to be enough to clear the top of our cab. But if you notice, we do have this antenna up here too, and it might have some interference if you do have anything above that. So if you have the same antenna, I'd probably just raise it a little bit above that, just to be safe. As for our crossbar spread, that's pretty much whatever you want to set it to. And right now we have 34.5 inches. But like I said, you can close that in or make it larger if you want. And finally, the one thing that's not really going to change between vehicles too much is going to be our overhang. So right now we got about a foot of an overhang. So there's going to be plenty of space to work with if you need to put anything up here. But it's still going to sit pretty level with the side of your truck. Overall, this is going to be a solid option for you if you want something that's going to stick out over your cab, or you need to be able to adjust for other items too. Whether you need to lower this some so you have more clearance up top, or maybe you want to put it on top of another car too, because they are pretty universal and can fit a lot of different vehicles. But as for the installation, it's pretty straightforward. But if you need a hand with it, just stay tuned and we'll show you how to do it. To start off the installation, we're just going to lay out everything. So we're going to have our HD crossbars in front of me. Next to it, we're going to have our towers, and then the bases that are going to go along with the towers. You're going to have your regular base, then you're going to have your locking base. You can tell the difference because the locking base has a longer piece where your lock core sits onto. Then we're going to have the clamps that attach your bases to the bed, and then the hardware for it. We're also going to have some tools, this large Allen key, and then these two other ones. And I recommend grabbing a tape measure to make this a lot easier. The first thing we're going to start off with is installing our bases. And there's a few things to think about. So one of the major things to think about when you're installing the rear one, since we already have the front ones installed, is how far apart you want the two to be. You want to make sure this is going to be far enough to accommodate the accessories that you have. After that, you want to make sure you place this in a spot that doesn't have anything underneath it that's going to get in the way of those clamps. And once you have that in a good spot, you're going to grab your J-clamp, grab your bolt and square nut, and you're going to line it up underneath just like so, and run this bolt through this channel at the top. And then you're just going to hand tighten it to begin with. And after when you have both of these installed, you're going to come, and after when you have both of these hand tightened, you're going to come back through with this large Allen key and tighten it down the rest of the way. Now something else to note too is you want to make sure your locking bases are on separate sides. So this is the non-locking base, and if we look in front of it, the locking base is going to be on the same side. Now we're going to grab our towers, and before we put it on, a trick that helps me is we'll have this bolt that tightens this plate on the front. If you loosen that some, it's going to be a lot easier to get this on. You're going to come by and put this on at an angle. The way you want this to look is you want to make sure that this support beam is facing forward on the rear one, and on the front one, we want to make sure that support beam is facing behind us, so they're facing each other. And when we have this in place, we're going to come by and hand tighten this until it's latched on. Then we're going to grab one of our included Allen keys, and since this is our non-locking base, we're going to grab the 6mm Allen key and tighten it down the rest of the way. Then we'll repeat that process on the other side. Now before you can put the other one on, you just need to make sure that it's going to sit the same distance away from your crossbar or the front of your car. So when you're installing the front crossbars, what I like to do is either measure from the outside of the bed or the inside of the bed to where you want your crossbar to sit, and then make sure you do that same measurement on the other side. Now in this case, when we're installing the rear one, what I like to do is go from the back of the base of our front crossbar and the front of the base on our rear crossbar, and make sure that distance is the same on the other side too. Now I'm going to go to our crossbars and want to make sure that's flipped upside down, and you can tell because we're going to have this channel that runs through, and you'll see this bolt inside there. You're going to grab your 4mm Allen key, remove that bolt. A nice trick to get this bolt out of here is after when it's loosened completely, just grab the crossbar, flip it over, and catch the bolt. Just make sure you put that aside where you won't lose it. Remove our end cap. And then we're going to grab 2 of our metal plates. They're going to look like this. And you're going to put it through this channel now. And with both of them in there, we're going to take our end cap, put it back on, and reinsert this bolt and tighten it back down. Grab our crossbar, line it up with these towers, and roughly place it there. What I recommend next is grabbing your tape measure and make sure this distance is going to be the same side, both sides for your overhang. And once it is, we can start tightening everything down. I'm going to slide one of our plates over to the tower. I have to use the Allen key to make this a little bit easier. Then I'm going to press this bolt through this hole on the front of the tower, push up on the tower itself until that plate locks in place with that bolt, and then tighten this down. Once you have this one hand tightened, you're going to repeat that same process, only with this other hole on the back of here, closest to the base of the tower. And we're going to tighten this one down too. I like to use an included tool to do this one because it's kind of hard to tighten that down since we have this divot in here. And when that crossbar is all the way tightened down, we're just going to grab our lock core, place it onto our base, that's the locking side, turn the key, and lock it into place. After that, I just like to give it a good shake test, make sure nothing's moving, and if it feels secure, then that's it for the install. And you can put whatever accessories you have on top of it. And if you liked everything you saw today, that's just a look at the installation and some of the features of the Yakima OverHaul ladder rack on top of our 2022 Ram 1500.